So in the last video, we took a look at how to set up a static mix, basic volumes and pans. In this video, we're going to take a look at doing some processing on the actual tracks, some EQ, compression, and I'm going to show you some other cool things you can do on Console 1. So I'm going to turn the on-screen display on by pressing the display button.
Application, Console 1, System Dialog.
And the first thing I want to do some EQing on the stereo master.
Selected track 18, stereo out, SL4000E.
So you can hear that it's the stereo out track, which is the stereo master, and that the SSL 4000 is loaded. That's not what I want. I want to use the Chandler channel strip on this track because I like that Chandler EQ on the master track. So I'm going to hold the shift button and press the track selector 1 button.
Shift. Select console minus filters only, SSLS. Select console. SSL SL4000 Amina Series console.
A dialog has opened where I can choose the channel strip I want to load. So I'm going to use the page left and right buttons now to select the Chandler.
Empirical lab, Console 1 Chandler Limited Zener minus Bender.
That's what I want. So I'm going to press the OK button, which is the same as the solo button located near the bottom right of the Console 1 unit.
Strip loaded.
And it tells me that the strip is loaded. I'm going to put Console 1 into training mode now. And I'm going to just turn some of the EQ knobs so you can hear what they do.
Training mode.
Remember now, when training mode is on, I can touch the knobs and all the controls on Console 1, and they will just tell me what they are and the current value without changing them.
Low mid gain 0.0. Low gain 0.0. Low mid frequency 1.2 kHz. Low frequency 91 Hz.
So I'm going to take it out of training mode now.
Default mode.
So the first thing I want to do is put a low cut filter on the master track. So I'm just going to press play and I'm just going to turn it up a lot so you can hear what it's doing. And then I'll turn it back down to where I want it. I want it maybe like 25 or 30 Hertz.
Low cut 30 Hz. Low cut 320 Hz. Low cut 40 Hz. Low cut 30 Hz. Low cut 20 Hz. Low cut 30 Hz.
It moves in increments of 10 Hertz, so I just selected 30 Hertz. Let me just put a little bit of high end on the overall track. So I'm going to put it in training mode because I want to hear what the frequency is for the high gain.
Training mode. High frequency 10 kHz.
So it's set to 10K, which is fine. So I'm going to take it back out of training mode.
Default mode.
Minor hypnosis, you never know.
High gain 15.0 dB. High gain 7.5 dB. High gain 5.0 dB. High gain 3.5 dB. High gain 3.0 dB. High gain 2.5 dB.
Minor hypnosis, you never know.
High gain 2.0 dB.
So I just added 2 dB at 10K. And remember, in mastering, a little goes a long way, right? So it's just very small moves I'm making here. I might have some muddiness going on in the mid bands. So let me take a look at that now. So I'm going to turn the on-screen display off now so that I can concentrate on hearing the music and hearing the moves that I'm making with the EQ. I don't need to be hearing voiceover right now.
Logic Pro, Console 1 Accessibility Demo, Track.
Minor hypnosis, you never know this. What's all about, yeah, what's all about. Yeah, I see you're an old kid losing your focus. So what's all about, yeah, what's all about. Yeah, what's all about. Minor hypnosis, you never. Minor hypnosis,
Low mid gain minus 1.5 dB.
what's all about, yeah, what's all about. Yeah, I see you're an old kid losing your focus.
High mid gain 5.0 dB. High mid gain 2.0 dB. High mid gain 1.5 dB. High mid gain 1.0 dB.
Minor hypnosis, you never know this. What's all
Low mid gain minus 2.0
yeah,
dB.
what's all about. Yeah, I see you're an old kid losing your focus.
Okay, so the last thing I want to do here, I want to add a little bit of low end to the overall track. So I'm going to use the low gain knob.
Minor hypnosis, you never
Low
know
frequency 70
this.
Hz.
What's all about, yeah, what's
Low
all
frequency
about.
91 Hz.
Yeah, I
Low
see you're
frequency
an
70
old
Hz.
kid losing your focus.
Low gain 4.5 dB. Low gain 4.0 dB. Low gain 2.0 dB.
Yeah, what's all about. Minor hypnosis, you never know this. What's all about, yeah, what's all.
So I'm happy with that. So let's do some processing of the individual tracks. Let me take a look at the kick drum.
Selected track 1, kick, SL4000E.
So I'm going to solo this track by pressing the solo button.
Solo on track 1.
Okay, so I find this kick drum, it sounds a little bit cardboardy. I'm going to just work with the EQ knobs now, and I'm going to try and get rid of some of that cardboard sound, and I'm going to maybe brighten it up. I'm also going to show you the punch control where I can get a little bit more punchiness on the track. So let me work with the EQ first and try and clean it up a bit.
Low mid gain 3.0 dB. Low mid gain 4.2 dB. Low mid FREQ 0.88 kHz. Low mid FREQ 0.75 kHz. Low mid FREQ 0.54 kHz. Low mid gain 18.0 dB.
I'm just boosting it a lot so that you can hear what it's doing.
Low mid FREQ 0. Low mid FREQ 0.76 kHz. Low mid FREQ 0.80 kHz.
Going to tighten up the Q a little bit.
Low mid Q 0.6.
Okay, that's the frequency I think is causing a bit of a problem. Maybe just a little bit lower.
Low mid FREQ 0.75 kHz.
Okay, and I'm going to cut the gain now.
Low mid gain minus 0.6. Low mid gain minus 3.0 dB. Low mid gain minus 4.0 dB.
Yeah, that's a bit better. Let me change the low band to a shelving filter by pressing the type button for the low band.
Low type cut. Low type shelf.
I want to know what the frequency is, so I'm going to put it into training mode.
Training mode. Low frequency 200.
Okay, I want it lower than this, so I'm going to take it back out of training mode.
Default mode. Low frequency 119 Hz. Low frequency 67 Hz. Low frequency 70 Hz. Low frequency 74 Hz. Low frequency 76 Hz. Low frequency 78 Hz. Low frequency 79 Hz. Low frequency 80 Hz.
Okay, and let me boost the gain a bit.
Low gain 4.1 dB.
Let's take solo off.
Solo off on track 1.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. Let me move on to the hi-hat actually.
Selected track 3, hi-hats, SL4000E.
And I just want to put a low cut filter on the hi-hats, maybe at about 200 Hz. So I'm going to just turn the low cut button up now.
Low cut 207 Hz.
Anywhere there would be fine.
Minor hypnosis, you
Low cut
never know
203 Hz.
this. What's all about, yeah, what's all
Let me just try and tidy up the mid bands a bit.
High mid gain 13 points. High mid FREQ 1.7 kHz. Mid gain minus 2.1 dB. High mid gain minus 2.0 dB.
I'm going to change the high band to a shelving filter.
High type cut. High type shelf.
And I'm just going to boost it a little bit to get a little brightness.
High gain 4.0 dB.
Let's turn solo off.
minor hypnosis, you never know this. What's all about,
High gain
yeah,
3.1
what's all
dB.
about.
High gain
Yeah,
3.0
see
dB.
you're an old kid.
Let me show you how to group tracks now. So I'm going to press track selector 11, which is the left guitar, and then I'll hold the group button.
Select which tracks to group with track 11, guitar left. To exit, just release group.
While still holding group, I'm going to press track 12, which is the guitar right.
Track 11, guitar left is group with track 12. To confirm, just release group. To cancel, select the tracks and release group.
I just released the group button, and I'm going to press solo now, and both the left and right guitars will be soloed.
Solo on track 11.
I'm going to press play. Okay, and the first thing I want to do is a low cut filter on both of these guitars. So now whatever I do would affect both left and right guitars because I have them set up as a group.
Low cut 120 Hz. Low cut 98 Hz. Low cut 109 Hz. Low cut 98 Hz.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe let me just brighten it up a little bit.
Equalizer on. High type cut. High type shelf. High gain 18 point. High gain 1.6 dB. High gain 3.7 dB. High gain 0.0 dB. High gain 1.6 dB. High gain 1.0 dB. High mid gain 7.1 dB. High mid FREQ 1.8 kHz. High mid FREQ 4.7 kHz. High mid FREQ 3.0 kHz. High mid FREQ 1.8 kHz. High mid FREQ 2.4 kHz. High mid FREQ 2.7 kHz. High mid gain 2.9 dB. High mid gain 2.3 dB.
Let me clean up the low mids a bit.
Low mid gain 18 point. Low mid FREQ 0.20. Low mid FREQ 0.50 kHz. Low mid gain minus 1.6 dB. Low mid gain minus 3 points. Low mid FREQ 0. Low mid FREQ 0.26 kHz.
Let's turn solo off.
Solo off on track 11.
What's all about? Yeah, what's all about? Yeah, I see you're an old kid losing your focus.
High gain 3.7 dB. High gain 4.5 dB. High gain 3.7 dB. High gain 2.9 dB. High gain 4.5 dB.
Let me do a little bit of compression on these guitars. So let me solo them again, and I'll be using the compressor controls.
Solo on track 11.
So it says solo on track 11, but actually tracks 11 and 12 are soloed since they belong to the same group. So I'm just touching the compressor controls now.
Ratio 4.6. Ratio 2.9. Ratio 3.2. Threshold minus 5.6 dB. Threshold minus 13.3 dB. Threshold minus 11.1 dB. Threshold minus 8.9 dB. Threshold minus 12.2 dB.
I think I added a little bit too much top end, so I'm just going to cut back on the high gain a little bit.
High gain 1.0 dB.
So I want to know how much compression is going on. There are two ways I can do it. So I can hold the shift button and press the compressor button, and that will tell me how much compression is happening in real time. Or I can hold the shift button and press the track 13 selector button, and it would read how much compression is happening every 5 seconds. I can also do the same with the input and output meters, and being able to monitor every 5 seconds is great, especially when you're doing things like setting input levels for vocalists, drum mics, etc. But for now, I'm just going to check how much gain reduction is happening by holding the shift button and pressing the compressor button a few times.
Shift, gain reduction, minus 2.79. Gain reduction, minus 0.32. Gain reduction, minus 2.96.
Okay, I want a little bit more compression, so I'll turn the ratio up a bit.
Ratio 5.7. Ratio 7.0. Ratio 5.0.
Gonna check the level again. Hold shift and press compressor.
Shift. Gain reduction, minus 1.81. Gain reduction, minus 1.47. Gain reduction, minus 0.28.
I'll turn up the threshold a bit.
Threshold minus 17.1 dB. Shift. Gain reduction, minus 4.17. Gain reduction, minus 6.99.
There's also another nice feature called Drive on Console 1. It just kind of makes it sound a little bit warmer. So I'm going to just turn the drive control up now.
Drive 1.9.
I'll turn it up a lot so they can hear it.
Drive 9.0. Drive 8.7.
That's way too much, so I'll turn it back down.
Drive 4.7. Drive 4.0.
Let's see how it sounds in the track on solo.
Solo off on track 11.
Minor hypnosis, you never know.
Maybe a bit much.
What's all
Drive
about?
3.0.
Yeah, what's all about? Yeah, I see you're an old kid losing your focus.
I think that's okay. There's also a character control, which is just below the drive knob.
Character 4.7. Character minus 4.7. Character minus 1.3. Character 0.0.
So I'm pretty happy with this. Maybe now that I've done this processing, the guitar's probably got a little bit too loud. This time I'm actually on console 1 and not console 1 fader. So I'm just going to turn the volume knob on console 1 and it would turn down both guitars together.
Volume minus 3.9 dB. Volume minus 0.9 dB. Volume minus 3.9 dB.
Let's use the punch control on the kick drum now. So I'm going to select the kick drum, which is track 1.
All tracks ungrouped in selected track 1, kick, SL4000E.
I'll solo it so that you can hear the effect.
Solo on track 1.
Okay, and I'm going to turn the punch control now.
Shape on. Punch 0.0 dB. Punch 3.0 dB.
Okay, so I'm just going to turn it up a lot so you can hear the effect.
Punch 8.7 dB. Punch 17.4. Punch 4.6 dB. Punch 4.1 dB. Punch 4.0 dB.
Okay, that should be okay. Let me unsolo it.
Solo off on track 1.
Minor hypnosis, you never know this is what it's all about, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good to me. Let me just drop the volume of the kick drum just a little bit.
Volume minus 12.5 dB. Volume minus 13.2 dB.
Minor hypnosis, you never know this is what it's all about, yeah. What it's all about, yeah.
Let me do one more thing. Let me just do a little bit of processing on the vocals. So that's tracks 13 and 14.
Selected track 13, lead vocal, SL4000E, low cut 114 Hz.
Okay, that should be okay.
Minor hypnosis, you never know this.
I'm going to select a shelving filter for the high band.
Equalizer on. High type cut. High type shelf.
So I'm going to turn the on-screen display off now because you already know how VoiceOver works with the EQ controls. So I just want to concentrate on hearing the vocal itself and not VoiceOver.
Minor hypnosis, you never know this is what it's all about, yeah. What it's all about, yeah. I see you're an old kid losing your focus on what it's all about, yeah. What it's all about, yeah. What it's all about, about. Minor hypnosis, you never know this is what it's all about, yeah. What it's all about, yeah. I see you're an old kid losing your focus on what it's all about, yeah. What it's all about, yeah. What it's all about, about. Minor hypnosis, you never know this is what it's all about, yeah. What it's all about, yeah. I see you're an old kid losing your focus on what it's all about, yeah. What it's all about, yeah. What it's all about.
So I did some work with the EQ and I also added a little bit of drive. So let me get an idea of what I did by putting console 1 into training mode.
Application. Console 1. System. In console 1. System dialog. Content is empty. Training mode.
I know I did some EQing with the high shelf.
High gain 4.3.
Okay, so I just added 4.3 dB there. I also did some stuff with the low mids.
Low mid gain 3.8. Low mid gain 3.8.
Let me see what I did with the drive.
Drive 4.5.
Let me just take a quick look at the background vocals, and that's track 14.
Selected track 14, back vocals, SL4000E.
Minor hypnosis,
Solo on track 14.
Know this what it's all about, yeah. What it's all about, yeah. I see you're an
Low cut
old
filter.
kid losing
Low,
your
low cut 30
focus
Hz.
on what
Low
it's
cut,
all
low cut
about,
330.
yeah. What it's
Low
all
cut 126 Hz.
about, yeah. What it's all about,
Low cut 124 Hz.
about. Minor hypnosis, you never know
High gain,
this
high gain 10.
what it's all
High gain,
about,
high gain,
yeah. What
high
it's
gain
all
minus 2.8
about,
dB.
yeah. I see
High
you're
gain
an
minus
old
3.0
kid
dB.
losing your focus.
That should be okay.
Solo off on track 14.
What's all about, yeah, what's all about.
And there you have it. EQ and compression and using punch and drive on console 1. In the next video, we'll take a look at using send effects via console 1.